Hey folks, I've got a Sofirn SP60 to have a look at, talk about and show you today. And let's, from the get-go, let's just drag in the SP70 and have a quick look at them alongside each other, and that's if I can get them both in the frame. They're two big lights. The 70's been around for ages, really good light. It's been one of my favourites. 26 sized batteries in there versus the 21 700s and there, and you can see from the get-go the 70's got a much larger reflector, and it is generally, dimensions wise, quite a larger light. Like I say, this is the older version, and the 60's brand new out. And you can kind of see when we get into the detail of it, the 60 does look much more modern. In terms of user interface, really simple. It's got an automatic lockout, so depending on when you last used it, you might see that little flash. So a couple of clicks just to unlock it, and then a long press cycles through our 4 modes. If we're not on turbo, a double click takes us to turbo, one click takes us back to where we were, and if we're not on turbo, one click takes us back off again. Really simple. So let me show you this bit. You'll like this. So in here, we've got this little adapter arrangement, and in there is our batteries. Some connections down there. And what that is I've got flat top batteries at the moment, and of course flat top batteries don't make a connection, do they? So what this little device is doing, it's enabling us to use, if we want to, a couple of flat top batteries, and that's going to make the connection for us. You don't have to use this if you don't want, but I found it's a little bit rattly. You can hear the batteries rattling a little bit if you haven't got them in, but it's not necessary to run the light. This is simply so you can use flat top batteries. You can put button top batteries in there if you like, and they still work, or you can just put button top batteries directly into the flashlight without that adapter, and they will work, he says. Trying to get this end back on. And our battery indicator quickly came on there to tell us about the level of our charge. Now, perhaps the most interesting part, can you see it tucked in down there? We've got a Cree 70.3, the brand new version. And there are two versions of that. There's the high intensity and the high density, and it's essentially a 70.3 domed or de-domed. This has got the high intensity, the de-domed version in there, which does seem a little bit odd to then put it in a deep orange peel type reflector, and I'll show you that when we get outside, because it's kind of created this, I don't quite know what to call it. It's not a thrower, but it's not a flooder either. It's at least to me, a much more usable balanced type beam, quite similar to the SP70, to be honest, in terms of that type of beam profile. But rather than me waffling on about that, we'll check that out when we're outside. And probably the final thing to note before we have a look at the web page is fast USB-C charging supported. Let's have a quick look at the specs on Sofirn's webpage. Let's just have a look and see what we've missed, if anything. $79.99 with an extra 20% off at the time that I'm looking, with or without batteries, whichever you prefer. Power levels, 450 low, 1000 medium, 3000 high, 6800 on turbo. 6800. Super bright flashlight, 221-700s. Flashlight is a great thrower, but yeah, as mentioned, not an out and out thrower. IP68, impact resistant, yeah, okay, the usual stuff that we'd expect. Automatic lockout mode. I think most of the Sofirns tend to be coming with that nowadays. Some additional specs there. Stepped ramping. I think we've discussed these, haven't we? Strobe and moonlight. And again, our specs, if we want another last look at those, you can pause that if you want. 915 meters throw distance. Anyway, let's go out and have a look and see how it performs. Right, with the SP60, let me put a picture of where I am and quickly scroll through our modes down to low. Lowest mode, medium. As you can see, that's definitely leaning towards quite a throwy type beam with this distinct outer ring. Is that the second medium up? Two mediums? Is that the right way to describe it? Starting to get down into the distance there. Our high. Not behaving like a normal 70.2, is it, with this one being the high intensity version. I'm not going to call it a out and out kind of pencil like thrower type beam. They've kind of toned that down a little bit, haven't they? But we've still definitely got the leaning towards a thrower, but not so much like a little laser beam, and much more, in my opinion anyway, usable, balanced light with a lot more peripheral spill, but the emphasis definitely on the distance. And then turbo, my god. Certainly getting way down into the distance there. This type of place I'm in at the moment usually doesn't suit, taking back down to high, doesn't usually suit this type of beam profile, but it's not doing too bad, is it? I'm not feeling the need or the regret that I brought a thrower or more throwy than perhaps a floody type line. There is plenty of peripheral. Oh, what's that there in the distance? There's little eyes down there, something watching me. Can't just make out what that is. Oh well, I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, so I'm not really feeling the need or the regret for not taking a more floody type beam. There's certainly plenty of peripheral spill on that. Let's take it somewhere else and see what we can do. Hi folks, got the SP60 a little bit further on, second to bottom mode. Let me show you where I am and then cycle through our modes, not including turbo. That high is pretty impressive, isn't it? Particularly as we put some distance on down the side of this lake. And as mentioned, not an out and out thrower, is it? But as in, you know, pencil beam, as mentioned. But it's still getting into that distance. I guess we'd expect with this. Well, I haven't tried the new version of the 70.3 high intensity version, and particularly not when married up with an orange peel lens, which, as mentioned, when I first looked at that, I felt that was a bit of an odd decision. But what it has given us is this well balanced beam profile. Is that the right terminology? And then turbo, if you need it. Now that's really up the ante there, haven't we? But there is a massive jump on the power, of course. But really getting into the distance. Let's have a look the other way. Back down to high. And then turbo. That is like flipping searchlight. Okay folks, really pleased with this. Hopefully that beam profile and the performance of this 70.3 in this configuration has got you considering this light. Sorry for all the hand swapping here. I've got to keep the torch well out of the way of the lens, otherwise you end up with this horrible effect. I can only kind of get rid of that by, or try and minimise it by holding it up out of the way. And as mentioned, plenty of peripheral spill. Catch you soon, folks. I'm sorry, I better just blinded you, didn't I?
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, you weren't blind. You were hiding behind the shadow of my big fat head.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Oh.
Shadow of the dog.
Sorry.
Oh, don't worry, it's only mine. She's always under your feet.
Oh, I feel bad now. She's limping.
Oh, she's all right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Are you doing some like night photography or?
Yeah, for YouTube.
Oh, cute.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I didn't. I thought it was a fox. I didn't realise it was.
Sorry.
Bloody bright, though, wasn't it? That.
Yeah, it's a good light, isn't it?
I know.